Hi, everyone. My name is Justina Lichnik, and I'm a program manager on the Power BI team. And today we're going to be talking about how you can enhance your BI solutions with AI. So in terms of the agenda, first we're going to talk a little bit about what AI means in the context of Power BI, and we're going to look at the general landscape of things. And then we're going to talk about some of the new releases that we've had in Power BI when it comes to AI. So we're going to look at some of the new features that have come out, and we're going to really just do a lot of different demos. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So when it comes to AI within Power BI, we really cater towards a number of different personas. A lot of people immediately think about machine learning models and data scientists, which is a very important part of the process, but you can start enhancing your BI solutions with AI as an analyst or even as an end user when it comes to exploring your data. So the barrier of entry does not have to be very high. From a data scientist perspective, when it comes to AI and Power BI, what we really focus on is the integration and extensibility story. We're not trying to replace tools like R or Python or Azure Machine Learning. We want to make sure that Power BI can work seamlessly with them. So for example, if you have R scripts or you have Python visualizations that you want to showcase as part of your solutions to your end users, you can very easily and seamlessly just plug them into existing reports. So we'd really try to facilitate the collaboration between analysts and data scientists to ensure that they can present their content from a single unified place to the business users. Similarly, with Azure Machine Learning, if a data scientist is building machine learning models in Azure, we want to make sure that they can stay successful within their own ecosystem, but very easily leverage those predictions directly inside Power BI and bring them to the report canvas as well. From an analyst perspective, we really want to evolve an analyst into the sort of citizen data science persona. So here what we've really focused on is leveraging existing Azure capabilities, such as Azure AutoML or Azure Cognitive Services, and brought them directly into Power BI so that an analyst can use them using point-and-click experiences without having to write a single line of code. So if you want to start building your first machine learning model, you can leverage AutoML, go through an installation wizard, and in a couple of clicks, basically build a machine learning model that you can bring into your report to start really seamlessly bringing in together your AI predictions with your BI data. Similarly, if you're dealing with unstructured textual data or maybe images, which are generally pretty hard to slice and dice in a BI solution, you can leverage the Azure Cognitive Services directly inside Power BI. And in a couple of clicks without writing any code, you can just enrich your data and bring those solutions into your reports. Finally, from an end user perspective, this is really all about exploring your data and really asking questions of your data and finding insights. So what we've invested in over here is a concept we call AI visualizations. So here we basically enable you to just build a visual, which our analysts are very familiar with, but actually have some intelligence built into those visualizations. Similarly, if you just want to explore your data and ask natural language questions, we have a Q&A experience that allows you to go beyond the reports that are built in and ask questions that can span any subject area of your data model. So with that, if we actually do a little bit of a deep dive into some of the latest updates that we've released in Power BI in the last couple of months, one really exciting feature that's a very helpful experience for doing root cause analysis and exploring your data is called the Decomposition Tree. This is a visual that we went GA with back in July, and it really is a great way of just exploring your data and going beyond just slicing and dicing in the typical kind of fashion. And we're going to take a look at it in just a second. Another visual that we released in the last year, and we've just been doing continuous improvements to and continuous updates, is the Q&A visualization. So here, this is basically an experience that allows end users to ask questions of their data and get answers immediately in the context of their report. So with that, I really just want to jump straight into the demo and show off some of these capabilities so you can start leveraging them in your report solutions as well. So in this scenario, we are looking at an online sales experience where we have some reports that are looking at things like website visits, sales across time, cancellations, and returns. And I've noticed over here that we seem to be having a lot of cancellations happening for our outdoor products. So as a user, I can, of course, click onto this bar in Power BI and all of my data is going to update. But I really want to dig into this a little bit more. I want to start understanding what is the profile of a customer that actually is canceling these outdoor products. And I might not be getting the full set of information that I want by just slicing this data in this report. This is where something like the decomposition tree comes in really handy because it allows me to really explore my data in new and innovative ways. So as you can see over here, I've already set up the visual. This is just a visual I can find in my Viz pane. I've chosen a metric that I want to actually analyze. In this case, this is a number of cancellations. And I've chosen a number of fields that I want to break it down by or that could potentially be impacting my cancellations. Now, what's special about the decomposition tree that you don't get in other Power BI visuals is I can actually break down this metric in any order that I want. So if I want to start by looking at it by product, I can just select product despite it being the last item on my list, and the decomposition tree is just going to break it down. Now you'll notice the color has changed. That's because we also support conditional formatting for the decomposition tree, which means I can get a much richer picture of what's going on with my data. Because in this case, I'm actually coloring by the percentage of products canceled, whilst the data bar size is showing me my cancellations. So immediately we can see that even though outdoor products have the highest number of cancellations, the electronics products seem to be a deeper kind of red color. So if we hover over these, I've also added a tooltip to help us explain this insight. And we can see that for outdoor products, 3.8% of them are canceled, whereas for electronics, 6.1% of them get canceled. So by having this richer picture, we can actually determine where do we want to invest our time and resources in terms of what's a more important problem for us to solve. But let's stick with our outdoor products for a second. This is where we saw the high number of cancellations. And now I have a little bit of a dilemma because I'm not entirely sure where all of these cancellations are coming from. Is it maybe to do with a specific purchase size, or maybe it's to do with a specific brand? And here I can basically ask Power BI to help me analyze my data. I can ask it to find me the high values in the data, and Power BI is going to analyze all of these different fields, and it's going to determine an optimal path for me. So when I select high value, Power BI recommends that I split out my product by age group. And specifically, it looks like cancellations are highest when my age group is between 35 to 50. Now I can keep doing this root cause analysis and going deeper into my data. If I click high value again, it turns out that my highest values are within the adventure customer segment. And if we do this one more time, we see that it's for those that also do not have loyalty cards. So in a couple of clicks, I was able to start building up a rich profile of the sort of customers that are canceling my outdoor products. If I'm interested in my electronics, where my highest percentage of canceled products are, I can select that. And what you'll notice is this path over here actually changes order, because what might be the root cause for my electronics products looks different than what it might be for outdoor products. And so this is a dynamic calculation that happens. If at any point I want to really understand this data in more detail, I can just select this and all of my visuals on the page are going to update. And of course, I can do the same thing with other visualizations where the decomposition tree is going to update based on other visuals on the page. So over here, what I can actually do is drill through on a subsequent page and explore this data even further. And what we see over here is our Q&A visualization. And we can immediately see that we've actually gone ahead and drilled through on our outdoor adventurers who are between the age of 35 to 50 and who do not have loyalty cards. And this is more evident over here as well, where you can see the filters that have been passed onto this page. So over here, we can see the Q&A visualization with some automatically suggested questions for me that I can start using in my analysis. So what I might want to do is just start with one of these questions. Maybe I want to look at the number of website visits and sales amount by customer. I can just select that, and Q&A is just going to plot the visual for me directly in the context of my report. So it's creating essentially a transient visual for me to explore. And again, this visual is just fully interactive with the rest of my report. So maybe if I want to just focus on my North America customers, I can select this in the map, and this visual is just going to update. But let's keep exploring my cancellations. This is where I've drilled through on my data, and I want to understand a little bit more about these cancellations. Another really exciting feature that's actually just coming to Q&A this month is the support for arithmetic operations. So imagine I was interested in looking at how many cancellations and returns I've had in total in this particular time period. What I can simply do in Q&A is just now type in cancellations. I'm just going to add a plus sign over here and type in returns. And Q&A is just going to do this math for me and return me the number as a visualization directly in the Q&A visual. So yeah, it's really simple to be able to just do these sorts of mathematical operations, whether it's addition or division, using Q&A. So yeah, exciting new feature you probably want to try out this month. So maybe one thing I might want to do is just type in my own question. I might want to look at cancellations by date, for example. And this data is looking a little bit messy, so I'm going to just look at it for the last maybe 6 months or so. And so now I'm exploring my cancellations in the context of this customer profile, and I can immediately see that my cancellations are indeed trending upwards. So this looks like it's a pretty new problem for me to go after and understand what is really going on in this particular case. And some of the new updates that we've actually done to Q&A is we've revamped a lot of the tooling. So I'm going to jump into this tooling over here. Here you have a lot of rich experiences for actually improving the Q&A experience as the analyst for your end users. So one of the things that we have added based on very popular demand is being able to author your own suggested questions. So this experience that you're seeing over here, by default, we just automatically suggest a number of different questions, but we've also been asked by a lot of our customers to be able to author these, to use these as almost like guardrails or a ramp-up experience for end users. And so this is something that's been made available in the last couple of months. Another experience that actually just came in back in July is this rich experience for being able to edit all the synonyms within your data model in a really quick and intuitive way. So if we look at my online sales table, we can see all of the different fields. I can choose which fields I want to hide or include in Q&A. So if there are certain fields that I just don't want to be used, I can just hide them, and we're never going to be able to ask questions about them, which really helps to scope down the question and hide things like ID columns and so on. And we even have this experience of being able to very quickly add synonyms. And I can add my own synonyms over here. So maybe I'm going to do something like web sales as a synonym. And take a look at what happens to the right-hand side of these suggested terms. As I add this in, these suggested terms update and give me new suggestions. These suggestions are based on Bing and Office, so we've actually integrated the Office and Bing Thesaurus. And as I add new synonyms, we're learning about the sorts of things that you care about and suggesting new terms. So if I want to officially elevate these to synonyms of these terms, I can just add them in. So maybe I want to do something like online transaction, web transaction. And as I add these in, these synonyms are going to update. And this makes my data model much, much richer. Now, by default, we are going to recognize these suggested terms as synonyms, although they will be a little bit ambiguous. But by elevating them, they just become first-class synonyms of your data model. So if I now ask a question about, let's say, maybe sum of online transactions over here, you'll see this is just understood like any other term, as though it was just part of my data model. These are the latest updates that we have for Q&A and for the decomposition tree. So with that, I'm going to jump back into the slides. And another experience and visual that we are really excited about that is actually just getting released this month in September, has been released a week ago or so, is the Smart Narratives visualization. With the Smart Narratives visualization, instead of what you were doing with Q&A, where you were asking a question, getting a visual, we're now providing you with the reverse, where we can start with visuals and generate an automatic summary of all the insights of what's going on in your data. Being able to improve the storytelling and data literacy of our users is something that's super important for us and something that's been really highly demanded to have as part of a BI solution. And so we're really excited about this as a new feature. I can't wait to hear the sort of feedback and thoughts on how you're using this feature. So I'm really excited about that. So with that, I'm going to jump back into my demo scenario over here. And I'm going to start with my transactions report page. So here we're just looking at some transactions across time, across region, across city. And you'll see over here we have a scatter chart with quite a lot of things going on. So what I'm able to do now with any visual in Power BI is simply choose to right-click this visual, choose to summarize this. And what we do is we just automatically create a narrative for you that appears as just another visual on my page. So we can immediately see where, for example, transactions are the highest in terms of region, in terms of city, as well as where we have the highest revenue per transaction, as well as what are the general boundaries within these values are actually falling most of the time. But we can do more than that. So let's go ahead and jump into our product page over here. So what I can do is, in this particular case, I don't necessarily want to go and summarize things visual by visual at a time. So instead, we've just gone ahead and added a whole new visual to Power BI called Smart Narratives. Now, when I drop this on the page, this is going to create me a narrative that's going to go across the entire page. It's going to look at what sorts of visuals are being plotted, what's their placement, how big are they, what's being plotted inside them. Is it time series data? Is it comparative data? Is it a bar chart? Is there a legend? How many measures are being plotted? And it's going to analyze all of those different things and generate me a summary with the most important insights called out for me. So for example, if we take a look at maybe the summary, we can see that in this case, we have sales across time. This is time series data. And so in terms of our summary, we're doing things like automatically doing trend analysis on your behalf. We're figuring out between certain dates what had the largest increase in sales. In this case, those are outdoor products. We automatically calculate the growth for you. We see where we saw the largest decreases. In this case, this was electronics. Again, we calculate these trends. And so these are just things that you don't have to go and now calculate yourself. You can just add this sort of summary to your page to really help users understand and point them to the insights that are important in their data. And this is a fully customizable and interactive experience. So if I want to, for example, maybe change the colors, make things bold, change the size, I can do that and really style the summary to make it look exactly how I want. And in a couple of clicks, I can basically make it look like something like this, which is really just a first-class experience in my report. And not only can I change the color, the styling of this, I can even go and add my own annotations to this as well. So let's go ahead and maybe let's talk about some of our cancellations. So just changing the colors so it's a little bit easier to see. And I'm going to write something like cancellations amounted to. And now I have a little bit of a problem because I do not want to write a static value. That's not going to be very helpful because the next time the data refreshes, that value will be stale. So I actually want to add a dynamic value in this case. So what we've actually done is we've looked at our Q&A technology and thought, wouldn't it be awesome if instead of having to do a complex DAX calculation over here, I could just literally type in natural language what I want Power BI to calculate for me. So in this case, what I really want is the sum of cancellations. And so I'm just going to type in natural language that I want the sum of cancellations. I even get a nice drop down with the recommendation of what I should be typing. And in this case, Q&A is not returning me a visual like it did in the previous example. It's actually returning me a calculation. And I can just save this calculation over here. Now we're going to just change the color because it's a little bit hard to see. And make this white. And you can see that that's how easy it is to actually add just a dynamic calculation to the summary. And we can see that now cancellations have amounted to 44,000. And now when my data refreshes, this value is going to update. And not only is it going to update when my data refreshes, Imagine for a second I'm only interested in insights of maybe about my outdoor products. So I'm going to select outdoor over here, and you're going to see all of the visuals on my page update, but so does my summary. So you can see, for example, that now cancellations have actually amounted to 21,000. If I want to look at my electronics products, for example, here, again, this is now going to update. We can see its cancellations amounted to 12,000. And it's not just the dynamic values, it's the whole narrative that's updating. So in this case, for example, we can see if we look at over here that, we're looking at our website visits and sales. We're looking at the fact that revenue is trending upwards while visits are trending downwards. Well, if we look at our overall data, in this case, revenue and visits are both trending upwards. And so the intention of the summary changes itself rather than just the plug and play calculations. So these are all some really exciting features that are just shipping literally this month. And I'm really excited to see how you guys are going to use them. So the final demo that I wanted to do and the final feature that I wanted to talk about is something that's completely new. This is something that we're announcing for the first time at Ignite. And this is a new feature that's going to be coming towards the end of this calendar year. And this is the ability to actually do anomaly detection directly inside Power BI. We know this is something that's been very hotly requested by a lot of users who want to start, finding anomalies inside their data. And so this is something that we have been working on, and we're really excited to be bringing this experience to Power BI. And this is the first time I'm going to be demoing it, so I'm really excited to show you what this is going to look like. And like I said, it's going to be coming to Power BI in just a couple of months. So over here, we're back in our sales and product analysis example, and we have a new chart over here that is looking at revenue over time. And so what I want to do in this particular case is just enhance this chart so that it automatically detects anomalies for me and for all my users who are going to be viewing it. So I can simply go ahead, select this chart, and choose to add my anomaly detection capabilities to it so that we will automatically find anomalies. And you can see that just by clicking this one button, we've automatically enriched the chart with anomalies. We've automatically added boundaries and confidence intervals so we can help users understand what is an expected value versus what is something that looks like it's going out of bounds. And not only can I add this, as enrichment to my chart, but it's also a fully customizable experience. So I can do things like maybe change the shape of the anomaly. I can change the size of it. I can maybe change the color of it over here. And I can even do things like change parameters of the algorithm that's running. So if I want to change the sensitivity of this algorithm, I can go ahead and maybe make it, extremely sensitive so that I want to be really, really particular about, even if there's like a slight deviation, I want this to be tagged as an anomaly because, I'm very sensitive to changes in my data. Or I may want to be a little bit more liberal and be like, okay, no, I don't want you to be, marking every point as an anomaly. I want this to be a little bit more selective as to what gets chosen as anomaly. When it comes to these boundaries that you're seeing over here, I can change those around as well. So I can maybe, make them a little bit more or less transparent. I can change the colors. So I can really fully make this just part of my report. But there's more to this than just the styling and the detection of the anomaly. What we also have wanted to do is enable and help our users explain the anomalies that are being found in the data. So what I can do really easily is just select this point over here and choose to explain the anomaly that I'm seeing. And at this point, we're just going to run some automatic analysis that's going to go across the fields in our data model. And it's going to try and explain what might be causing this particular anomaly in our revenue. And in this particular case, we're seeing, first of all, that we're getting a natural language explanation that's telling us that this is an anomaly where we were expecting the value to be in a particular range, but the value was outside of that range. And we can start looking at what factors might be associated with that anomaly. But we also understand that it's really important for our users to be able to fully control this experience. So a lot of our users want to be able to choose what sorts of fields are going to run when we're looking at these anomaly explanations. So what I can start doing over here is maybe I really just want to restrict this to maybe my seller field. Maybe I only want to restrict this to my city. And at this point, when again, I'm going to go and try and explain this anomaly, what's going to happen is we're just going to be running our explanations just for constrained to that set of data of columns that we've selected. And in this case, we can see that this anomaly seems to be associated with a particular city, where in this city, it looks like we've had this sort of spike in our data, and it's associated with one of our sellers as well. And so this, in just basically 2 clicks, I was able to see that this is actually, from a statistical perspective, an anomaly. I was able to get an explanation for this. And now, as a next step, I can go and contact my seller in the city and inquire as to what's going on with their revenue at this time. I didn't have to do any slicing and dicing to manually figure this stuff out. We're just trying to automate and make it super easy to find these insights in your data. So with that, let's jump back into our presentation. And really, to wrap up, what I wanted to do is just give 2 calls to action if these are things that you haven't tried out or seen before. First of all, you can download the Power BI desktop, and you can try out all of these visualizations I just talked about for free. Downloading Power BI desktop is completely free, no license, no signing in required. You can just download it, bring in some data, and start playing with your data. And you can try out Q&A, you can try out a decomposition tree, you can now try out narratives. You'll be able to try out anomaly detection very, very soon. And I'm really excited to see how you guys are going to use it. Feel free to tweet at me, show me the sorts of things you're building. It's always great to see customer examples of what's going on. If you want to know about these latest updates, Power BI has updates every single month. Every month we have a new desktop release. Every week we have new updates to the Power BI service. So I would highly encourage you to subscribe to the Power BI newsletter. At that point, you can stay informed and up to date with all of these changes and new updates that are coming. And with that, I'd just love to thank you so much for the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.